State Representative Russ Diamond here. We're discovering Lebanon County's hidden gems. The hidden gem we're discovering today is the Pennsylvania National Guard Museum. And I'm here with Charlie Olick, who is the curator of the museum. Right. Charlie, thank you for having us today.
Sure.
Tell me a little bit about the museum here, how long it's been here, and why it's here at Fort Indiantown Gap.
Well, as many local people know, this museum was the idea of Major General Frank Smoker from Lebanon. And he started the ball rolling with committees and cooperation of the Adjutant General at the time to start this museum. As you can see by the sign up here, we're going into our 31st year.
Okay.
We're actually in our 31st year.
Excellent.
So the museum was slow to grow, but with a lot of help, we've been able to develop it over the years until we have a number of other buildings here in our little historical complex here. We have the old chapel next to this next building that began life here as a one-room schoolhouse in the 1800s. And then we have the old rifle range office from Mount Gretna, which is restored, and we have marksmanship-related exhibits in that building. So here's a engraving of the old camp at Mount Gretna.
Okay.
The first National Guard camp for the whole division was held at Mount Gretna in 1885.
I see.
And when that got too small, they began to phase over here. The state bought up the valley here farm by farm, and then they started to use Indiantown Gap in the mid-30s. And of course, then in 1941, the federal government took it over.
Right.
But that's a rare engraving that shows shows Soldiers Field, which I understand is going to be saved.
Oh, okay, that's
just
great
purchased
news.
by a local group to save part of Soldiers Field. Anyway,
well, I think it's important to mention to people that Fort Indiantown Gap is the headquarters of the Pennsylvania National Guard. It's also the busiest National Guard training center in the entire country.
That's right.
So it's very fitting that the museum is here. And as we walk down here, tell me a little bit, point out some of the highlights of the exhibits you have here.
All right, this exhibit right here is some of the early insignia worn by the Pennsylvania National Guard, and as you can see, it has the distinctive keystone right in the center, because this is the Keystone State.
Absolutely.
And these are quite rare, and you just don't see these much anymore.
Yeah.
But these, with the wreath, were worn by non-commissioned officers, and the rest of these were worn by various branches of the enlisted. Now the two hats right here, this is an officer's hat on the bottom with the embroidered state seal on the front.
Okay.
And the white keystone indicates that officer was a member of the 2nd Brigade from Western Pennsylvania. And then this is an enlisted man's cap. And around the museum we have numerous uniforms to see.
Right.
And
This
equipment.
is beautiful here.
And yes, this poor fella was a West Point graduate. Then later joined the Pennsylvania National Guard, late 30s, went back into the regular army, was posted to the Philippines, was captured. He survived the Bataan Death March and perished on a Japanese slave ship.
Oh, you're kidding me.
That's right.
Oh, what a shame. Wow. Wow.
And here we have some knapsacks and, of course, the early forage cap from the late 1800s with the distinctive keystone on the top.
Right.
You'll see lots of keystones in here.
Absolutely. Well, it is the Keystone State.
That's right. And we get a lot of visitors from out of state, and we have to explain to them what a keystone is. A lot of the kids, they don't know what a keystone is.
Right. And, so the museum is open to the public.
Oh, yeah.
And what are the hours of the
museum?
museum?
We're open Mondays and Fridays from 10 to 4:30.
Okay.
And we take appointments on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and some Saturdays if we have a volunteer available.
Oh, and do you do group tours, that sort of thing?
We do group tours.
Okay.
In fact, we have a group from the 95th Infantry Division coming in tomorrow.
Excellent.
And they trained here. They were one of 8 divisions that trained here during World War II.
Wow, fantastic. Fantastic. Well, these are some fantastic exhibits.
This is a governor's troop uniform, a governor's troop from Harrisburg. And this was a parade uniform that they wore in the 1930s.
I see.
And they would escort the governor. And they were mounted, of course.
Yeah, and as we're walking here, I'm looking here in the middle, and you've got some big exhibits here. I mean, these are the big guns here, right?
That's right. That's a 75 millimeter pack howitzer. That's from the Korean War period, but they were used in World War II.
And then over here, I see we have you know, a simulation of a bunkhouse maybe, or
Well,
a barracks?
this is to show people how the whole building was laid out.
Oh, okay.
This wall would not have been here, and you can see the original white lines on the floor from World War II, where the soldiers would line up their bunks and their footlockers.
I see.
But that's to show people how the whole building was laid out. There were 63 men lived in this building in 1941, 10 NCOs and cooks, and 53 enlisted men.
Wow. So, and this is the first and second floor that would include.
Yeah,
they
that's
lived on
right.
both floors.
Right, both floors.
So tell us a little bit about the exhibits that you have on the second floor.
Well, on the second floor, we have a very large mess hall exhibit, a lot of mess hall equipment, stoves, ranges, anything to do with eating. We have mess kits, we have rations, canteens, canteen cups, and one of the most popular exhibits on the second floor is a horse and rider.
Okay.
And the horse is all ready to go. He's got all his equipment on, the saddle and everything, and he's ready to ride. The rider is standing right next to him. And that exhibit is circa 1915, 1916.
Excellent. Well, before we close here, I want to walk. I saw some great things here on the wall, on the other side of this wall here. Let's walk around here and tell me about these beautiful pieces of metal.
All right,
these are fantastic.
These are marksmanship trophies.
Okay.
And they were sponsored by various staff officers, as you can see the names. And these officers would sponsor these trophies, would actually pay for these trophies. They're all handmade by jewelers. They're one of a kind. And then there are also medals for the actual marksman. The trophy would go to the armory, and the marksman would get the medals. Here you see a photograph that we found to show these very same trophies right here.
Okay, 1915.
1915.
Wow, over 100 years old. Another one from 1915.
When we found these in a warehouse, each one was in its own wooden crate, and they were still wrapped in 1919 dated newspapers.
Oh, no kidding.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but you saw some of the prices in that.
No, I didn't even look at the newspapers. I was awestruck
You were more
by these.
interested in these.
That's right.
Well, they were fantastic.
That's right. See, they were never used after 1915 because 1916 the Guard went to the Mexican border.
Okay.
In 1917 they were called up for World War I.
Okay. So how many buildings total do you have here at the museum?
Well, we have the museum, we have the World War II barracks next door for storage, and then we have the restored chapel, and then we have the range house, and then we have several other storage buildings.
Excellent.
We have some 4 Jeeps in our collection, which are in another building.
Okay. Is there anything special here that you want to point out to me and to attract some visitors here?
This might be hard for you to see, but Indiantown Gap was the only place in the United States during World War II where they built 3 ships on land to train stevedores how to load ships for overseas shipment during World War II.
Huh.
And of course the ships are gone, but if you walk up on that corner down there on the east end, you can see where they were located.
Really?
And about 10 years ago we got the state historical marker, which is understand is in a warehouse right now while they're doing some construction down there.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, that's a fascinating piece of information because I've lived around the Gap all my life. I've never heard of that before until today.
Yeah.
That they actually built 3 ships back here.
Full-size ships.
Yep, full-size ships, and they trained the folks there on how to load them.
Right.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then probably one of the best collections we have is the A.J. Drexel Biddle display.
Okay.
We have General Biddle's enlisted coat from when he was going to school in New York City. By the end of World War I, he was a captain. He was aide to the commander of the 14th Division. We have his wife's uniform, who he met during World War II. She was a Canadian on the Eisenhower staff with the United Nations Refugee Relief Agency. And then on this side, we have his World War II uniform, and he has all these decorations because he had been ambassador to more countries than anybody in American history.
Wow.
And then this is his World War II uniform, or his Adjutant General's uniform right here. And
wow.
The photographs show there with Governor Leader, who appointed him as Adjutant General, picture of Eisenhower promoting him to Brigadier General, a oil painting that General Eisenhower painted of General Biddle, And then there in the bottom, the case at the bottom there is President Kennedy appointed him to ambassador to Spain in 1961.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Then that's when he left Pennsylvania.
And of course, there is Biddle Avenue or Biddle Drive.
There's Biddle Avenue, there's Biddle Hall, and there's a Biddle Armory in Philadelphia.
Right, right.
And of course, if you study American history, you'll see Biddles all through American history.
All right. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us today. It sure is a pleasure to meet you and to talk with you, and want to invite all of you to come back and visit the Pennsylvania National Guard Museum at Fort Indiantown Gap, one of Lebanon County's hidden gems.